One of the quotes I really liked, I heard you say, was you were talking with a cardiologist, and you were talking about anti-aging and how anti-aging is kind of blown up now. And you said, anti-aging, how about not having a heart attack? That's your anti-aging. And I thought that was hilarious, but it's also very true. People, that is kind of a, I guess, specialty people are trying to market nowadays. But what are your thoughts on that? Can you expand on that a little bit more? What you meant with
Yeah,
that quote?
thank you so much. Wow, I mean, here you are. You're obviously a doctor. You're a dentist, correct? You're a
Correct. Yep.
general dentist. So you're educated. You know the medical system. So anti-aging means you want to live a long life. If you want to live, which you want to live a good quality life also. So if you want to live a great long life, you need to understand what's going to limit you from having a long life. And if you look for the number one cause of death in America, it's coronary artery disease, right?
Sure.
So my approach to anti-aging is don't have a heart attack first.
Right.
So the way I approach it is, and if you're taking agents that have a risk warning on them medically for causing a heart attack, stroke, or death, I don't see how anti-aging clinics, which are essentially working on hormones from testosterone and growth hormone, which I don't prescribe, and we could talk about that in a minute. I don't see how there's no doubt. I'm an evidence-based doctor. I use evidence-based medicine like you do too. And that's how medical physicians should always start with evidence-based guidelines. That's when you communicate to your patients, you want to always work with them and say, this is what the standard of care is. And then you tailor it to them based on that's why we have the ability to do it, right? We're physicians based on their allergies, based on their other medicines, their other medical issues. I mean, this takes time. I teach at University of Connecticut School of Medicine as a primary care teacher. I always will because I love that.
Yeah.
I have a very small component left in my practice of primary care, including women. And I've had people up to 106 years old,
Wow.
107 actually. And
That's awesome.
so when you really understand the basis of how people can live a quantity of life, my most important piece, and I think everyone's going to agree, is quality of life is number one. But if you're talking about anti-aging, there's no data to support that testosterone is going to lead to a longer life. It's embarrassing.
Sure.
Growth
Yeah.
hormone, this is embarrassing. This is straight embarrassing. It's snake oil. And again, I work for my patients. I don't work for, I don't, I'm not contracted, but only with my patients. So, and I don't need to be the richest guy in the world. So
Right.
I don't sell pharmaceutical agents or supplements. I sell my advice and I'm a physician. So it's a service. So when it comes down to anti-aging, I can get very aggressive and it's the end of a long day. So I'm kind of, the fight taken out of me today.
Yeah.
We already had some interview. Things are going, pretty crazy. So anti-aging doctor, tell me, how do I anti-age? Well, let's work on your cardiac risk factors, blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes. Let's try to employ a good diet and exercise regimen. Let's try to screen for disease that we know if we screen for heart disease or colon cancer, right? Lung cancer, let's not.
Right.
If we do these things, you're guaranteed that's anti-aging. So I'm
Right.
really an anti-aging doctor, but
Okay. See it.
I don't sell growth hormone, and I am an expert in testosterone replacement. Yes, thank you. But I do that for quality of life. And of course, I try to block the adverse side effects of testosterone, which the jury's not fully back in yet,
Yeah.
that there may be risks for some men. This is the truth. If 10 men take testosterone, of course, we hope they need it. They're not using steroids.
Right.
If 10 men take testosterone and they're diagnosed properly and they're on a management regimen and they're being managed very well, like I do, which takes time, and they're by a physician that really knows how to manage them, and this takes decades and years, obviously, to understand clinical experience. So in the end, if we look at those men and they're on testosterone, they're going to see a variability in the response as far as how it affects the man's LDL, HDL, blood pressure. Am I right
Yep.
or wrong?
Sure.
Right?
Very right. Yeah.
So some men will take testosterone, even a small amount of testosterone, physiologic TRT. And I've found over years that their HDL is going to go down a little bit in most men, but it may not be clinically significant. Other men, it will go down significantly. And if that's a man that has other coronary artery disease risk factors based on the Framingham data, blood pressure, cholesterol, family history, you're in trouble. So that's what the feds discovered, and it was very crude. And since that period of 2015, when they put that increased box warning on testosterone products, heart attack, stroke, and death, since that time, it's been rebuked from the data from the 2013 JAMA article and 2014 PLOS article. These are these major, right?
Right.
They did it based on only 2 articles. There's some politicization. It was politicized to some degree, and I'm not going to get into that. But the Fed was certainly concerned that based on these 2 trials, you looked like you had upwards of 30% of men dying within 1 year. And they weren't dying from cancer of the colon. It was heart attack, stroke, and death. So I've looked into it deeper, and I've interviewed board certified cardiologists on my website, on my YouTube, Metabolic Doc YouTube, where I'm asking an expert doctor, tell us about this data. And we reviewed the data, and it's inconclusive, but it doesn't mean that it's not true. It doesn't mean that all men are created equal in terms of disease, because they're not. People have different genetics. So we know, right? I mean, this is basic. This is nothing new. If you give 10 men testosterone, some men will be at risk for producing plaque and growing their left ventricle and leading to early diastolic dysfunction and cardiac disease and coronary artery disease. I see it. So what I do is I individually diagnose and provide protection for each. Some men get statins, some men don't. We have new drugs called PCSK9 drugs, which I'm getting involved with. These are miracle drugs. Technology's advanced. These are monoclonal antibodies, right? These are incredible. They're expensive, and you have to get through the insurance company, but I work the best I can, and we have success most times. And then we have ACE inhibitors. We have beta blockers, we have diuretics, we have metformin, we have, so I use these medicines working with primary care doctors and endocrinology, cardiology, urology. I watch PSAs closely. Some men, if a man has prostate cancer, I can tell you this, I've dealt with this for over 10 years now. If a man has prostate cancer, when you start testosterone, most likely you're going to see that grow.